Listen, I promised you guys something fun, and, well, today we have it in the form of Dutch tanks. Now, my goal here in this 3v3 on a 1v1 map, with admittedly 3 different lanes in Bravo, Delta Alpha, and Foxtrot, is to take the Dutch armored deck that I have here and just throw it at my opponent and see what happens, and this ended up being just an absolutely insane game, so I had a lot of fun with it. I hope you guys have a lot of fun with it. First thing we have is Opener Artie, and it is Cluster. Now, not a ton of casualties here. I stopped the column basically right before it gets hit, but the YPRs do take a little bit of damage, and, you know, I have double 2A4 and L here, 145 points each, and they're damaged, man. One of them's at 6 strength, one of them's at 8 strength. This Opener Artie is incredibly rude and incredibly effective, and you see it quite a lot. Now, over on the left here, my ally, the Shrimp Champion himself, is getting Helo Rush. So MI-24Ds, K-29TBs, all that sort of stuff, just eviscerating his opener. And on the right-hand side, we actually do have a little bit of success here with the Captain Lads over on that side. Actually, Firong's UAZ that we should have probably spotted and taken note of, but I think it slipped past us in the moment, or at least it slipped past me in the moment, given that I was trying to not have my entire column die here, and, it was mixed success on that note. So, what do I do about this, especially when I see that Soviet armored column coming in from Cipro, and it was probably his artillery. It looked like a Smerch, but it might not be as well. So I was really kind of sitting there going, okay, well, we had that nice plan, and, well, it didn't survive contact with the enemy at all. I have Nathra that are moving forward. I have not a lot on the field here, really, at all. So, yeah, not great. The whole I'm just going to push into alpha at the start thing really fell apart. And we're on the back foot. So Foxtrot is capped, Bravo is capped. Our opponent started with 4 CVs in the opener. They're ticking +2 on us. That's 30 points a minute. And here comes an offensive push right down the center into Delta. I mean, they want to take R2. They did an extra CV opener, and they want to take R2. And by the way, before you notice the Captain, Lieutenant, Colonel, Captain over on the right-hand side, some of these guys had absurdly high numbers of games as well. So it was, rank is only some indication. Experience tends to be a lot of it, and particularly in team games, you find people who play team game after team game after team game and don't ever play ranked at all. So there's a lot of hidden gems in here, players who are really, really good, and you don't necessarily expect it. And they're particularly good at one thing, and that's smacking other teams of players. So on the left-hand side, lots of Morskaya Pechota here from Montirovka, and I think this is... I always think Morskaya Pechota 90 are a little bit of a throw. For 25 points, you get a substandard RPG, and you get a 15 strength shock squad, but I don't know, I think there's a lot better. I think there's, well, I'm not saying it's the worst infantry out there. I think that USSR in particular, which we have 2 USSR players, and this is a Polish Merida, and I haven't really been looking over there to see what else is over there, but at least 2 USSR players here. I think USSR struggles to fit that card in. If you disagree, just let me know. And so one thing I was trying to do, I was trying to get a little bit of recon here for Foxtrot, because just having the Ninja and the Hashinan Shiki, we wanted... At this point, the 3 of us were talking together in the in-game chat. We wanted to see if we could capitalize on the not getting smacked over on this side just a little and sort of sneak up farther into Foxtrot, try and clear this. By the way, Kutai 90, yeah, really good position here. This is a sneak you should always do. Kill the Merida, kill the CV if you can get it, kill anything and everything. There it is, Firong's UAZ, and oh, come on. Oh, come on, there it is. And the kill on the tank as well. So beautiful Kutai 90 from Lads, who does actually start to draw the ire of his opponents quite soon here. Private versus Captain. But again, Liko on the Red 4 team had a lot of experience if memory serves. So my 2A4NLs are not really getting a lot of work done. We've fired 8 rounds, we've killed a fair number of light vehicles and a little bit of infantry, and I've just brought up some Vraks. We're going to heal them up, we're going to just take our time here. The way this deck loses is it loses its 2A4s early and often. The way this deck wins is by getting more 2A4s than the other player can really know what to do with, because these guys close range, they'll punch decently against super heavies. I do have super heavies as well, but these guys are at elite, and that gives you some really, really nice performance, especially later on in the game. Now, we do have a CV over in Foxtrot. If this gets unloaded and put in with the Foxtrot decap, that goes to 0-0, but we are behind by about 100 points, so that's something we need to do something about. There's a tour that's just been sitting there, kind of bugging me for a little bit. We will potentially get some artillery up soon, but I was using my mortars for smoke, because quite frankly, Cipro here from Red 4 is just not stopping with his approach. And, you know, Gorno 90, I actually really like. I'm not in 1v1s, but I do in team games quite a bit. I think they have a really nice application, and I was trying to cut them off at the pass, but these forests have really, really weird line of sight. So I get line of sight, but so does this Gorno 90, and yeah, those things hit like a brick, man. It's not a lot of fun. It's very much not a lot of fun, so I probably should have been leading with some Natra and having the AMXs come up behind because those Gorno are still alive, and I've just lost 2 recon tanks that were supposed to go up there and cause trouble for my opponent. So yeah, we are pushed back in Delta. This is enough room to cap. It's not a safe cap, but Red can definitely try that and see how well they do with it, see if it really works for them or not. And on the left-hand side, I think Montirovka started to have a bit of a bad time, and that's going to happen anytime you have Morskaya Pechota 90 bombed out by an F-111C. It's just, I mean, it's so much value every single bombing run, and we knew that there was infantry in there too, so it's like, yeah, okay, that's a great way of dealing with it. It'll work. It certainly will. And, you know, what I'm doing here is completely intentional as well. I saw Sepri, lots of Sepri in the woods, really nice application there from Cipro. But Sepri died to AMX Prees because 3 frontal armor, at least most of the time. Sometimes they'll get a kill or 2 assisted by the burning damage from woods that are on fire, and that flame effect here. And of course BMPTs will make short work of this. So I was hoping to get up there, get some kills on Sepri, and finally we do have the super heavy buy from Cipro, a T-72BU. So if you're in my shoes right now, I brought out 2 Hawkioses, I'm bringing out more reinforcements. I have 2 2A4NLs, but there's a BU blocking my path, there's BMPTs, there's Sepri in here, there's Gorno Strelki 90. How would you be feeling? That's my question, because I'll tell you how I was feeling. I was feeling good. I was feeling very good. I was feeling as though this is one of those games that you don't win at the 8-minute mark, you don't win it at the 12-minute mark, you win it at the 20-minute mark, and you win it decisively. And maybe not even 20, maybe 25, maybe 30, but once you build up enough, you just go. So that was sort of my intention here, was to just wait, not lose, and spend a lot of time not losing, and then eventually I just go and win. That was the intention. So block 10 by a little bit impetuous, but I wanted to, really this was a bit of a unit test for me. I thought I had the space for it. Unfortunately, it's a one-way trip, and the T-72BU takes some cluster, but yeah, not really enough. And this is the problem with those cluster bombers that don't have a lot of clusters. When you do that right click, like I did right there, enough will miss that you won't get the kill. So that BU's damaged, but it was not worth sending a 120 point plane that way. And then right when I say, you know, I was feeling confident before, now I'm not. I lost a block 10, I lost a Verkenning. That's 200 points or so, well, roundabouts. 200 points worth of losses very, very quickly. So that's a good way, you know, that's 2 minutes of income. That sets my clock back, it gives my opponent space here, and yeah, I mean, I have to do something about it. So we have the 2A4s moving up, we are killing Monostrelki 90, we are looking for that BMPT. These Stute Troopins were right-clicked on purpose, they were not attack moved. I was hoping to get a cheeky kill on the BMPT, but there's so many Sepri, holy cow, and as a result, this was a little bit not the right decision. So, you know, that's fine. I know it's there now. The 2A4s are going to be a little bit cautious here where they're facing, and they're going to be moving up around trying to get shots in, and anything that they close to will die. The BMPT here, as soon as we get line of sight, watch this. There it is. Boom. Dead. Gone. And that's 60 points worth of revenge. So USSR, it snowballs really hard, but if you can pick those pieces apart, you will get value out of it, particularly when my Stute Troop in 95 are 20 points, they come in 5-point AMX pre boxes with 3 frontal armor. It's just a very cost-effective forest grind, one of the most cost-effective forest grinds in the game. Meanwhile, there is, it looks like a counter cap in Foxtrot, probably over here in that section of building is my guess, and Bravo has been reclaimed enough that I'm going to put a CV tank over there, although, was there one on the way? Yeah, no. So my CV tank is headed up this way, just, it's a bit of a, you know, we need to stop that +1 tick. We're getting pushed back on the right-hand side. Liko, he has been very good with his bombers, very good with his infantry. And, you know, I think we should have, if we had a little bit better coordination, dropped an F-111C right here. Because there's a triple stack of Komandosi, that's 35 points apiece, and there was a triple stack of Niebieski Bereri behind him, and they are cheaper. But if you can kill up to 6 of your opponent's infantry in one go, that's usually worthwhile. So, We have the 2A4s, we have more resupply coming up, we have more Stute Tripping coming up, and they did cap in Delta. And this, you know, when we're talking about the roller coasters of emotion, and in a game like this one really, tilt is the wrong word. It was more of a, oh, you want to bet that you can keep that alive, sort of moment from me. So I was sitting there going, you know what, we're going to take this back. We're going to take this back a little bit sooner than I probably should, just because I don't feel like letting you have this. So the Leopard Reconning's going up, the 2A4's going up, these two sort of moving a little bit back, trying to make sure that I'm not too impetuous when all I have is a single stack of Natra and a Stute Trip in 95, and we're just trying to get vision and a couple of cheeky shots. That's the Gornostrelki 90 alive on 2, and, you know, this, anything that moves up here is getting, you know, hitting the dome piece. The Reckoning is a very nice close-range shooter, and the BU is a little bit out of position. So if he really wanted to be providing good fire support, he probably should have been over here a little bit. As he is right there, he's looking through 2 sections of woods, and it's going to be obscured. If he was over a little bit farther onto the road, he'd have fire control sort of down this area, which I think is what he was looking for. You really do have to be careful with those sight lines, because you mess them up just a little bit, and all of a sudden that super heavy isn't supporting the engagement that it was designed to go in and support. So, bit of a mistake there from the Red Fort player, but, you know, we're behind 216 points. I'm bringing up more infantry, more and more and more, but I do lose the Reckoning that was going up there to kill that command vehicle. Not exactly ideal. Now, one thing I do like, so I've played against Nechampasa a couple times, including in ranked, by the way, and I'll put that one up because that was a hilarious game, I think. But yeah, Nechampasa was really nice with teamwork for his artillery, so that's something you don't see all that often, and it was very much a nice thing to have, because this deck can't afford really to spend the points on that, especially when I'm buying things like SCVO from Bravo, and when I threw away a relatively expensive plane. And, you know, my anti-air is returning the favor with those Hawkioses, trying to shoot at the enemy planes. I think we actually shot maybe 2 of them down there, or certainly 1 down with the Hawkioses, and a little bit unfortunate timing there on the last of those yaks. But yeah, I don't know. This was a game, man. Sometimes it feels like you can trade well with USSR, and you just can't push them. It's really frustrating, but now we're getting there. I have 3 2A4 NLs. You gotta kind of watch out for cluster with this, for sure. And even with USSR, believe it or not, there's the RVT, but there's also the IL-102, which will demolish. We can right-click on enemy tanks and just see what happens one time. It actually works really crazily well. So 2A4's gotten a little bit over their head. We do take a shot from VD-V90, but we're just going to pull back, let the Stutes go up. 2A4's coming up here, and this was, again, that nice teamwork from Nechampasa, sort of seeing I was flagging here a little bit in that struggle against the USSR, and he's coming over to help. Lots of infantry. At the time, I was actually telling him maybe not necessary, because, again, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 units of infantry coming out there. The fact that it's not symmetrical really does bug me, but I probably had a, well, not well-timed buy. And then we do also see Liko's Führungsgroup here, and I do nab the kill with a mortar. Set back right here. Now this guy is one of those 4HE mortars, not the most devastating you can get, but against stuff in the open field, yeah, that tends to work pretty well, and we were all firing at it just saying, hey, yeah, we want this zone. And now, with Bravo countercapped, if we can push them out of Delta, we have 26 minutes of +1. That is more than enough for a win. So in order to tie, we need 20 minutes of +1. It's a little uncomfortable. It would be better if we had something more than that here. But, yeah, how would we really get that right now? Like, what's our path to it? We'd have to push into Alpha, probably. Bravo, there's no force projection here. It's just defense. So this was starting to look a little tenuous. I think that's fair to say right now. T-72 BU spotted again, 2A4s. Now we're going up here, and now this is the right time to do it, because I have infantry coming up. I have all 3 2A4s. That was not a split to dodge a plane, by the way. I was trying to grab the one that was damaged, pull it back, get it healed up, keep the other 2 shooting, and yeah, I mean, we're seeing the might of these quasi, well, not quite super heavies, but certainly some of the heaviest non-super heavy tanks you can get in the entire game, just mulching through Sapri, mulching through Motostrelki 90, and at this point, I actually wanted the engagement with the T-72 BU. So my Stute Trooper are coming up here to allow me to get that, because if I can shoot first with my 2 2A4s, actually with the 3, it's why I had all 3 of them up here, was to just 1, 2, 3 shot this guy. Yeah, it's not going to last very long. So we do spot a command tank T-72K1, a little bit of an unusual choice for USSR, which can of course field the UK. It's 50 points more, but it's a super heavy. It's worth it. Try it, you'll like it. You're basically, I mean, if you think about points inefficiency from command vehicles, the UK has some of the least points inefficiency of anything in the game, at least as far as I'm aware, because, yeah, you're paying a premium, but you're getting a premium unit for it. The only issue is you're getting a frontline premium unit. So if you don't use it for that, then it is points wasted. But if it does need combat, it's just remarkably effective. So we do get a side shot there on the BU with these Stoots, and I was hoping for a second one, turn off the AT4, but we lose line of sight, and that broke my heart right there. So they're going, no, come on. Oh man, we could have had that nice pickup here. Don't underestimate AT4s. Don't underestimate Stoot Trooping. They're brutal. They will grind you down and punch at your tanks way harder than you expect. And this is also why I said to Nachempasa, you know, I don't think that's necessarily worth it, because this whole pushback has happened before his stuff arrived. And I was reasonably confident that would happen. I understand the skepticism, and I'm grateful for the support. It's one of those, you know, I think I could get this. Hey, it turns out I could get this, but it doesn't hurt to have backup. So 27M from Cipro here, and he's looking for my 2A4NLs, but this is not well microed. So if you call something in just to an area, it will use its armament against whatever it can see, including a 200-point bomber, well, not bomber, a 200-point ATGM plane that really does need to be getting that value out of a single run. I think he took out a couple of AMX pre's, so it's really not great. I do mark the BU here just to say, hey, you know, let's go in for it. He has two Challenger 1 Mark 3s here. But they should probably be grouped. And this is an interesting thing. You know, new players group their units, group their tanks, and then more experienced players say don't, and then it kind of swings back again. It depends. But in a fight against a super heavy, or any high AP thing shooting at you, particularly super heavies, if you have your units grouped and relatively nearby, the super heavy will split its shots between your units. If they're single units, it'll pick one and it'll bully it and it'll kill it. There's not much you can do. RBF here from Liko as well. Now he's coming over from the right hand side after some pretty good trading against my teammate here, which is a little unfortunate. But that was a blind bombing run. It doesn't really get anything here, and that certainly could have been worse, as my 2A4s are doing the unexpected. So we're coming over here, we're actually getting a little bit of a side angle on it. We pick up a T80U, and we're just leveraging the open space. Now this is risky. There could have been ATGMs farther back here, and we didn't have good control. It's why I wanted the Huzaren up there earlier. But, oh yeah, second cluster bomber goes down. Yeah, not my best. And the brutal irony of it is, honestly, we had the tanks on the ground to kill it. And I should have just let the tanks on the ground kill it, because that was a big waste of points. Try not to do things like that. It's not great. But here's the breakthrough. And if you remember, I was talking about, you know, this is the game that you win 20 minutes in. Well, how exactly, with the super heavy killed, with their 200-point plane repairing, refueling, are they going to stop all this stuff? They're not even shooting at the AMX pre's. They're just going forward to see if there's anything even here. ATGMs maybe could be well microed enough to not go after these guys, but tanks certainly would push back, so there probably aren't any tanks here. If we're going to run into any infantry, it's going to be farther back, a holding force in Alpha, and I'm even buying a command tank right now, because, you know what, we are behind quite a bit. 20 minutes is a lot of time. 21.5 minutes is even more, but I'd rather be sitting there with a +3. And maybe even a +2 if we lose the Cap and Foxtrot, which is certainly a possibility now. RBF, this should have been... yeah, blind bombs will cost you, man. We've seen it on both sides, which is fortunate for me, because I really didn't do a very good job with my cluster bombers here. But, you know, now we just have Stoot Trooping, we have the nice fire support from the FL-12s, which will mulch through infantry that don't have tank support beside it. And my 2A4s are just kind of pulled back. We took some damage there. We're sparring with the super heavy. We killed it. We killed some medium heavies as well. And yeah, I was a little bit lax with my resupply, so I need more Vraks. It's actually running out. This deck probably needs more resupply than it has. And I was asking for an HLVW, which, yeah, I think it comes eventually. But here's the nice thing about this deck too. You get the Hawk Hios, and I don't normally like this thing, but in a team game, the Hioses can really shine, because if you notice, these guys are both at Elite now, their maximum training, and that kind of makes up for that 50% accuracy that really isn't that great. So, you know, you get these up there, you let them get a couple of kills if your opponents are plane spamming, and it's 3 people's plane tabs that they can sink their teeth into, and that really does make a difference. It allows them to up bet, allows them to hit and really just make their presence known. So I have Stutes, I have more Stutes, I have Grenadiers. It's expensive. This is not a great front line, especially when my Stute Troopen are very damaged. I need resupply here, and more to the point, I need to be holding this with Grenadiers, not with Stute Troopen 95. They're cost-effective forest grinding, they're cost-effective even in the town grind, but they're not cost-effective when they're getting shot by fire support from afar for having the audacity to turn on their tertiary. So actually this one here, if you noticed, the mini-me is still off. That's in order to prevent them from firing in against stuff that's too far away, where I don't want to be having these frontline infantry exposed. So we do take a nice hit on the 2A4NL. Nice as well for Rad, not for us. And that's the Gorno 90 there. So I don't know, I think it's actually, again, I think it has its place, and frankly, defending in Alpha against this is never what you want to do. But we can see the power of even a couple of Gornostrelki units. Now, they will be getting, I believe the polite expression is bombed to hell and back here by, well, not bombed, but artillery to hell and back by, that's a couple of the AS-90s from the Champions of the Shrimp Champion, as well as my own backline mortars and lads, backline mortars as well. And this is the place to be. Lads is bringing over his Namnyeon Shiki, some of his men up from the right-hand side. We have Nachampasa moving in here. This is how we want to win the game, because Fox is countercapped, Bravo is countercapped. Right now, we're +0. Right now, we're nothing. Right now, we are losing the ability to win this game on a +1 tick. We still have it for right now, but we only have it for about 2 more minutes. So we're getting to the point where in order to win this game, we actually have to cap Alpha. And this was the goofiest thing I have seen in so long. I mean, in so long. And this is coming from somebody, Monterovka had a good 600-700 games, I want to say. He's not new, right? Like, unranked, doesn't play ranked, but again, that doesn't always mean much. And this was maybe a little bit of an underinvestment for us on this side. It's just, you know, there hadn't been a lot of movement over here. It turns out because it was winding up for, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 11 Morskaya Pechota at 25 points apiece. That's so expensive. Oh my goodness. So expensive. I mean, 275 points of Morskaya Pechota. That's 2 and 2/3 minutes of income coming in here. And the Yak bombers. This was just, it was a truly USSR moment here of just Morskaya, Yak 38s, all of this stuff coming in, and there's too many bombers for us to even kill all of. We're killing a lot of them for sure. The tracked rapiers are very good for that sort of sustained fire, but they can't acquire their targets quickly enough to even shoot them all down, so a fair number of those Yaks got through. There's a T-55, there's KA-29 TBs, there's even boxes here, probably the ones that the Morskaya rode in on, and my command tank has to pull back. The T-55 is a threat. These, we just don't have enough here, and our own response is going to be with Lynx AH-7s, AH-1Js, my own escort. This is one of those, Nachampasa helped me out in the middle when I really needed it. We are not going to let his side fall, particularly after that early pressure that we did manage to pick apart, but it does have a cost, and I lose a 2A4NL to a 27M. Now, strictly speaking, worth it, because the 2A4NL is 145 points. That was a 200-point plane. We made it into a one-way trip, but it does kind of hurt to lose that, particularly when there might be more super heavies on the field. But escorts are doing their job. We are still countercapping here, buying as much time as we possibly can, even shooting back at Estrella. Poor unfortunate Estrella there. Escorts are good. They are very, very good. And I'm moving the 2A4s into this new sort of area here. Morskaya did get in, by the way, which was a little bit depressing. But my own CVs in Alpha now, we are taking +2. And even if we lose Bravo for right now, we are still taking +1. It's not what we would need, but it would be at least some way to not be actively losing harder, which, I'll take that. So my 2A1NL probably should have pulled out by now, but I figured let's just get the additional conquest points and pull more stuff in, because I didn't think I could really reasonably get out anyway, and we do lose the CV. Not the best reasoning, not the best play, but there you have it. I mean, shit happens. The Nachampasa has the Bison with more command infantry already queued up, already coming back in, and we need to clear out these Morskaya before we can do really much more of anything. My Hydra rocket pods are all out, and I have to keep up the pressure here as well, because artillery's coming in. That is Cluster, which will kill the Leopard 1 CV. Got a little bit lucky that it was not really in the right position. Sometimes that's dispersion, sometimes that's targeting choice. Side note, if you suspect it's a vehicle, hit right here. most people won't put the vehicle up to the left in the woods because it has the possibility of shooting out or being spotted by Red 4 recon infantry that are where my Stoot Troopers are right now, which is actually part of why the Stoot Troopers are there, is to slow that down. You know, I can't do that against lots of VDV, but yeah, that was a little rough. It's also really hopeful we get the UM with that. Peace Pheasant 2s are deadly, but didn't look like it was in the cards, so shit happens. In the meantime, we have more artillery coming in. Now, if you remember, this game started off with a Smirch, and that's one of the things that I think really hasn't been utilized well by Red, because they've had a lot of planes coming in, but how many times have we seen that Smirch fire? Maybe 4 total, including 2 or 3 in the last little bit of time, and by the way, I think that's double Smirch, but that's a little rude. I did take out my Hawk Heos, at least one of them anyway, and they probably should have taken all of those Smirches and just dropped them right here. The issue is knowing whether or not you should do that, because if this is an infantry CV, then you can drop as much cluster on it as you want, it's not going to do anything. So I guess I understand. They were trying to kill my super heavies, they were trying to kill my reinforcements, they were trying to kill probably the Hawk Heoses as well. I mean, they're good targets, right? It's a perfectly reasonable target. And at this point, we're kind of sitting there thinking, yeah, okay, let's go in, let's try and get that CV here. Stoot Trooping moving forward, H1J, more Stoot Trooping. These guys are going to go up through the left, clear that section of woods, and around into Bravo if they can. That's sort of the goal. And then as long as we can just defend here, that's a win, right? It doesn't have to be a clean win. It's certainly, this is one of the more fun team games I've played in quite a while. And if you notice, we don't have all that much time left. We're at 29-28 of 32-54, and we've already had one guy, Monterovka, on the side leave. So that does, of course, give more more availability and more reinforcement to the remaining players. 2A4NL, by the way, picking off Meridas is one of my favorite things. If that Napalm hadn't come in, I mean, even with it, look at that. Oh, I love the 2A4NL. This price bracket of planes is definitely a crutch for me. I really just enjoy it because they shut down so much stuff. It's pretty crazy. Now, we did lose the Leopard 2A1NL CO. That's a mouthful. The command tank, the Dutch command tank there. And Red's actually ticking +1, but I think they know that it's not really going to be working, and when I saw that double Smirch, I just bought another one. So I actually already had one coming back up, because every time they've tried to push here, it's sort of run into a bit of a brick wall. We do have 2 more 2A4NLs on that side, plus the one that died, that's 4 out for this game. And I think I had a 5th as well. You get crazy availability with Dutch National, so you know, it went pretty well. We get the counter cap on Bravo. This is back to 0. And then the thing is, with 12 minutes left of the +2, we easily win. 5 minutes of the +2 will get us to, well, roughly tie. And we have over double that. So that's probably what's going to happen here. My guess is when they saw that next, well, the second counter cap on Alpha, that's sort of where things started to go downhill. Now, triple stack of Commandosi is a decent idea here. The AMXs will get nice fire support on it, but these guys have really good range, so you have to be careful. Got a little bit lucky that the Commandosi didn't land their first shot, but oh man. Oh, Dutch fire support. Between YPRs and AMX-13s, it's very nice. I should have probably pulled back earlier, but I mean, we've nearly killed one outright. Looking for the second one right there, and just starting the plane spam. By the way, F-104Gs are criminally underrated. Criminally underrated. You guys will see my kill list from this game here in just a second we go in, and this wasn't the best, but I mean, we stunned a PU, right? We got that. We even got eyes on the CV in Bravo. It's going to be marked already, and that right there, once the CV gets to Alpha, is going to flip us to a +3, so it's pretty hard to recover from. You know, they got it on us, it's true, but this was a very different state of the board when that happened, and we've gotten build up at this point. It's critical mass. It's one of those things that happens in team games, particularly on the smaller maps where there's less differentiation between each separate lane. And when it happens, you can kind of sense the end is nigh, because even if one player just puts the game on his back at that point, it's very, very hard. It's a big ask. So, more 104Gs. Oh man, I love these guys. It's like a Polish MiG right there, right? Yep, a couple hits, you get the kill. 60-point fighters, if you can even call them that. Frankly, I should have stayed in. Well, no. Out of the AIM-9Ls. It's just those missiles have so good accuracy, it's kind of absurd. Yeah, well, that'll be the game, and let's go through a couple of quick unit highlights, because there were some units that did just incredibly well this game. and I want to give him a quick shout out as we did get 3101 to 2335. Not my best KD, but this is Conquest, and thanks to some nice coordination with my allies, we did get the W in the end. Now, 2A4NLs, it's not a glamorous list here, but it's a lot of points, and each one of the 2A4NLs, particularly the two beginning ones, just did really nice damage as time went on, right? So we killed a Tor, that's 80 points, a couple of Recon T55s, BMPT. This guy paid for himself, the other guy paid for himself. It's one of my favorite tanks in the game, particularly for an armored deck, Dutch armored. Don't take it in 1v1, but give it a shot in team game if you want something a little different. And surprisingly powerful, surprisingly flexible. I mean, just look at the FL12s, right? It's a cheap recon tank, but it will mulch through Gorno 90, VDV, anything you can set its sights on that has 2 armor or less, shall we say. So that's going to be the game. Hope you guys enjoyed, and you know, I gotta say I really did enjoy that one. It was a lot more fun to record than the Hilo Cheeser the day before, so this will be going up. I had a good time. If you did, don't hesitate to leave a like, share, subscribe. It does really help me out.